everybody. This is my advocacy proposal. my my choice on my advocacy. Sorry. So, how will I approach my advocacy? Here's my little drawing from our kind of yellow dig thing. I'd like to approach my advocacy work in a way that utilizes my traits as an advocate. So I'll always try my best to find accurate information while also being able to listen and understand the opinions and beliefs of other people. So I really want to make sure when I'm advocating for something that I've got all the facts and that I'm armed with as much information as possible. Because the more I know, the more I can aid the people that I'm actually trying to advocate for. I had two choices for my advocacy role, and that would be mandatory minimum sentencing or voter rights. I had found a lot of information about mandatory minimum sentencing. That basically the court has to give a person convicted of a crime, no matter what the circumstances of the offender or what the offense is. So an example of this would be if a person is convicted of selling crack cocaine for, like, let's say 20 grams, they're going to get a mandatory minimum of about 5 years, regardless of what the circumstance was, what their life is like, how many crimes they've committed, or how many times they've been sentenced for a crime. Doesn't matter. They get that. That's it. So these guidelines, they're not very good. So we need an alternative. So I kind of turned to the Sentencing Project, which advocates for effective and humane responses to crimes that minimize imprisonment and criminalization of youth and adults by promoting equity for all people, regardless of their heritage, race, or socioeconomic standing. Their biggest strategic priorities include protecting voter eligibility, full civic inclusion, ending extreme sentencing in the U.S., safeguarding the youth from the adult criminal legal system, pushing for alternatives to youth involvement in the adult and youth justice systems, and to invest in positive community development. So one of those alternatives that we need for mandatory minimum sentencing would also be kind of like having guidelines that would give courts sentencing ranges that depend on the offender's crime, criminal record, and then the seriousness of the crime. Like something would have to be done with that. My other advocacy choice is voter rights. So voter rights at this point in time are very much under siege, with many politicians making it more and more difficult to vote. This can be exemplified by, I think in one of my other assignments, I talked about how in Kansas, they actually, by they, I mean mostly there were kind of like Republican majority in this state. They split a district, and that district is Wyandotte County. And Wyandotte County encompasses most of Kansas City, Kansas, which is mostly Democrat, and then a part of Lawrence, which is where KU is. Lots of Democratic voters. And they did this as like a strategic way to get more votes and to disenfranchise voters. And this isn't right. And it's happening all the time in many different states. So the Voting Rights Lab is an advocacy group that I found, a nonpartisan organization with the goal of kind of accelerating the movement of free and fair elections. They record legislative snapshots that track the progress of legislation on key issues surrounding access, as well as legislative attempts to interfere with the administration of elections. And then the final choice that I kind of made on this was just voter rights. Now, I would prefer to do my project on voting rights because of the many avenues in which voting rights can be infringed upon in this nation. Voting by mail, voting by person have become difficult because of the stigma behind voting by mail and other hurdles like voter ID, proof of citizenship, and then voter list maintenance purges. So my plan of action is really just pretty much going through those 7 steps of advocacy. So approaching my project um, by identifying and defining priorities, um, gathering intelligence, as much information as possible that's going to aid me in my kind of quest here. My advocacy will also have to be built on the right positions, meaning I have to stay up to date on the current events surrounding the issue of voter rights. The bedrock of positioning is the quality data because it helps manage resources and expectations by identifying the dominant positions on the issue. Um, Engagement, an essential step to advocacy because of the importance of communication, the cost effectiveness of your advocacy, and the cost effectiveness of your advocacy work. Sorry. Um, yeah, but that's about it. Going forward with those 7 steps, not to go into complete detail about it, I'm hoping this is my references. I'm hoping that this will propel me to actually get a good project going. So thank you guys for listening. Have a good day.